Your name is?
Bruce Heilman.
And what does peace mean to you?
What does peace mean to me? Well, it means a positive relationship with somebody rather than having enemies around us. We've got to be on alert to every day. But I think we don't really have peace today. We've got so many radicals out there in the world. It's difficult to deal with enemies because they have no interest, I think, in dealing with us. So I guess that my concerns are what peace means to me, that peace isn't real peace because there are enemies lurking out there with whom we can't seem to compromise, and that's a difficult one. That I was just talking to these Japanese people, and I indicated even with Japan, and they were pretty radical to us, World War II, we did finally discover peace and become friendly. It doesn't seem to be in the cards with our enemies today all over the world.
Let's pray it is.
Yeah, well, I hope so. And we never can give up because we must do our dead level best to eradicate the hatred that comes within the whole world.
Actually, I just learned that our friend here has been a chancellor of a university in Richmond, right?
That's correction. That's correct. I was president there for 16 years. I've been chancellor for 25 or 6. Been there 43 years. And you asked what peace meant to me. And after reflecting upon it, I put myself back 70 years as a combat Marine on Okinawa, getting ready to invade Japan and expecting to be killed. I expected to be killed. My fellow Marines expected to be killed. The bomb was dropped and we got the word that the war was over. I shall never forget what peace meant to me. It meant in my mind I could go home, I could marry, I could have children, I could be a farmer, I could go to school. It was an exhilaration of the fact that I could have control of my life and do what I chose to do. In war, you can't anticipate anything for sure. Your next day, you might be killed, you might be alive, or you might be in a foreign country, or you might be home training. As long as the war goes on, there is no control of yourself or your country or anything else. It's determined by your enemy to a large extent. So peace means everything. It means family, it means friends, it means neighbors, it means love. It means all the adjectives you can conjure up that makes you feel good inside and in the head as well. So that means that's peace to me.
The Chancellor just gave me another bit of history that I want to share with the world. So once peace has occurred, what happened there in Okinawa?
When peace occurred, and as I earlier said to you, we were exhilarated because we were all poised to invade Japan about 6 weeks later. That immediately said to us, we're going to live. We thought we were going to die. It was that radical a change. So that immediately upon the announcing of peace, the guys that were about to face death again started firing our weapons into the air, and 6 were killed on the island of Okinawa in that celebration by the ammunition coming down that had been fired into the air. Maybe even some of it was just shot in all directions. But I actually have that in print from our little communications paper on the island, Marine Air Group 31, 6 killed in celebration. What celebrate? Celebrating peace.
So let's all remember that. So when we get peace in the Middle East, when we get peace in Africa, when we get peace in Iraq and Afghanistan and in New York and everywhere else that there's not peace, and unfortunately there is just a little bit in every place, be careful. Just be wise, be happy, be thankful, and be smart not to do things like that.
You can be so excited over peace that you lose your good sense and risk death.
So don't let that happen. Listen to the Chancellor. Chancellor and I were carrying on a conversation. We're waiting to go down to the War Memorial to put a wreath here today. But in the process, we continue to have our conversation about peace and love and harmony. And actually, you brought up what we talked a few minutes ago about, how do you really end the war? How do you throw, for example, in ending of World War II was an atom bomb.
Yeah.
And how do one, either you justify it or not justify it? How do you live with that thought? How do you not? You celebrate that you threw a bomb and 155,000 plus died in 5 or 10 minutes. All these kinds of things are quite concerning, right?
Right, and how you reconcile your own judgment in regard to right and wrong, not just when the act's being done, but over the years with your family and until the day you pass on. You look back and say, well, I was a young Marine on Okinawa, and I was ready to invade Japan, and in my own heart and mind with my fellow Marines, we were going to be killed. The atom bomb went down, peace came, what we understood to be peace, and we were exhilarated because we were going to live. Look how many didn't live, and we reconcile it by saying, but we would have had millions more killed if we had invaded. So we'll trade these two off. Another thing that most of us today say, and to my fellow warriors of those days, well, if that bomb had not been dropped, I would not have 5 great-grandchildren. I wouldn't have 11 grandchildren. I would not have married my wife. She might have married somebody else, but it wouldn't be my children. There would be no remaining knowledge of my history. That would be the last of it. I reconcile my thinking, so that's great moral stuff. But we killed. Why couldn't we find a way? Well, some say, well, this gave the emperor and the Japanese leaders a reason to end the war, and if we hadn't dropped the bomb, they wouldn't have ended the war, and we would have invaded, and of course we would have been killed, and many of them would have been killed. That won't answer some people at all. It may help to save my thinking and reconcile it so that I can sleep at night, but as an intelligent person, at least to a certain level, I still read and try to understand, not that there's an absolute right and absolute wrong, but where does the debate begin and where does it end? I think you're in that business.
Yeah, we're doing what we can to bring up that concern and how to deal with it. How do you end? In today's day, we're here in 2014. The good news is there's a ceasefire in the Middle East, and that, they say the Middle East, that's a big word. It's not such it's that little area over there right now where there's a ceasefire between Israel and Palestine. And so, but it's a complicated kind of thing. I mean, and nobody wants to take a bomb and put it on someone's head there, I don't think. But nobody wants anybody to die either.
Yeah, well, and as an objective observer, I'm not quite objective. I'm an American. We support the Jewish country. I say they have to defend themselves. And if somebody keeps sending those bombs over, how do they defend themselves without killing somebody? It's kill or be killed. That sounds like a long time ago with a club, doesn't it?
It does. It's the caveman style.
Yeah, and so life goes on, and we just have bigger clubs. The clubs now explode.
Yeah. Well, I guess you brought up some points about, so it's reckoning with these situations. How do you reckon with it?
Yeah. Well, I've tried to. I still try to reason certain things, and some get difficult to reason, and so you look back and you've done the best you could, but keep thinking.
All right, brother. Thank you.